What's up, baseball fans? So I'm going to go over my National League predictions. If you haven't seen my American League predictions, you can see those right here. But let's get to the National League. Let's start with the East. Coming in 5th place, I have the Miami Marlins. There's not really much here with the Marlins. They definitely got some younger guys that I want to keep an eye on. They definitely got some fun players like Corey Dickerson. They got Sandy Alcantara there. Looking to see with Sixto Sanchez, if he can come up and maybe pitch a little bit this year. But overall with the Marlins, I'm just not seeing much of the Marlins, so I have them coming in 5th place. In 4th place, this is where things start to get very tight. This is going to be a very tight division. I actually think this division, 4 teams at the top, they're all going to be separated by a game or two. This is probably, in my opinion, going to be the best division overall. But coming in 4th place, I have the New York Mets. Let's talk about that lineup. Pete Alonso right off the bat had a breakout year last year, over 50 homers. I think Pete Alonso, he's going to have another solid year. You got J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil. They both had really good seasons offensively last year. Michael Conforto had over 90 RBIs. Yoenis Cespedes, if he's healthy, if he can get back to the Cespedes of old, he's going to be an awesome designated hitter. You still got Robinson Cano there. He's not getting any younger. He's looking to have a bounce-back year. You still got Wilson Ramos. Not great defensively, but he's going to give you something on the offense. Starting pitching, I mean, I don't think the starting pitching is bad. I mean, it's not going to be bad completely when you have Jacob deGrom, back-to-back Cy Young winner at the top of that rotation. They traded for Marcus Stroman last year. I think he's going to be a pretty good number 2. They got Rick Porcello. I'm wondering if he's going to have a bounce-back year. He's already looked a little rough so far in summer camp. He got hit pretty good by the Yankees the other night. You still got Steven Matz. You still got Michael Wacha. I think the starting pitching is going to be fine. I just wonder if it's going to be enough in a really tight East division. And then the bullpen, that was a huge Achilles heel for them last year. Edwin Diaz was absolutely terrible. Juris Familia, absolutely terrible. They did have a guy like Seth Lugo who was pretty good. They brought in Dellin Betances. If he can get back to being the Betances of old when he was with the Yankees, that is going to be a really good arm. Overall, though, I just wonder if the Mets are just going to have enough. I mean, I think they're going to be a good team. I just think in this East division, I don't know. I just don't think they're going to have quite enough in a 60-game season. So I have the Mets finishing in 4th place. Coming in 3rd place, this may be a bit of a surprise, the Atlanta Braves. Don't get me wrong, I like the Braves. Actually, I like all 4 teams that are going to be atop the East because it's going to be that tight. But I think the Braves, I think they lost a little bit last year with Josh Donaldson going to the Twins. I think that is a big loss for that Braves lineup. Josh Donaldson is a transcendent offensive kind of guy where when you put him in the middle of that lineup, he really changes things a lot. I mean, it really showed with that offense last year. That offense was so much better with him in the middle of it. You still got Ronald Acuna Jr., you still got Ozzie Albies, you still got Freddie Freeman. I mean, you got Dansby Swanson, who's going to be probably taking another step forward this year. They did sign Marcell Ozuna, but he's no Josh Donaldson. They did get Travis d'Arnaud. He's going to be okay offensively. I definitely think, though, that lineup, I wonder how they're going to do without a guy like Josh Donaldson. I think the starting rotation, I do worry about that starting rotation a little bit. I like Soroka there. He's coming off a rookie year. Is he going to be able to take a step forward this year? That's what I want to see. They did sign Cole Hamels, but he's already having some injury concerns heading into this year. He was having injury concerns back in spring training, and now in summer camp, he's dealing with some injury things. I don't know. I mean, I wonder how he's going to do this year. Max Fried was pretty good last year. They lost Dallas Keuchel. I mean, Julio Teheran, he was a guy that gave them a lot of innings last year. I worry about that starting rotation a little bit. For the bullpen, they did add Will Smith. He was very good with the Giants last year. I definitely think the Braves have one of the better bullpens. I just worry about that starting pitching. I don't know what it is. It's more of a gut thing. I just don't know if they're going to have enough of the starting pitching compared to some of these other teams. So as of right now, I have the Braves finishing in 3rd place. And coming in 2nd place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. And you know what? In a full 162-game season, I would not be picking the Phillies. But in a 60-game season, I actually like the Phillies. I like that they signed Zach Wheeler in the offseason. That's going to be really good. Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler at the top of that rotation. Jake Arrieta, if he can find something of the old Jake Arrieta, I don't know how much of a sure thing that would be. With the bullpen, I think the bullpen, I'm not sure how they're going to do this year. Last year, they had some injuries in that bullpen where they just overall weren't very good. I mean, they still got a guy like Hector Neris, where he had 28 saves, a 2.93 ERA. A guy like Ranger Suarez, 3.14 ERA. He was pretty good in just under 50 innings last year. Jose Alvarez was okay last year, 3.47 ERA. Just with this bullpen, you know, they're going to have to plug in some guys into roles, and that's where I think the new manager Joe Girardi is really going to help out. I think Joe Girardi is very good at handling a bullpen, and I think in a 60-game season, I don't know what it is. I think he's going to push the right buttons. I think he knows a thing or two about how to piece this bullpen together. He knows how to manage a bullpen. So, and I think Joe Girardi, that to me was one of the biggest acquisitions in all of baseball in the offseason, this past offseason. Joe Girardi, he's a winning manager. He's a respected manager. Gabe Kapler last year, I don't think he was getting as much respect. He was a younger manager. I think he's better off with a young team like the Giants. I think that's a better fit for him. But with the Phillies in a win-now mode, I think Joe Girardi is the right guy. But then when you get to the strength of the Phillies, it's the lineup. You got guys like Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto. Andrew McCutchen was doing very good last year before he went down. I think if he's healthy, you can give him some time at DH, give him some time out in left field. I think he's going to be a guy that gets on base, that really sets the tone in that lineup. But then you got some other guys like Rhys Hoskins. You got Scott Kingery. I mean, you get Gene Segura. I mean, these are some guys that can really provide some production. But then they also added a guy like Didi Gregorius this past offseason to play short. When he's healthy, Didi Gregorius is one of the better offensive shortstops in this game. He was very good with the Yankees. I just really like that Phillies lineup. I think there's a lot of good pieces. Overall, this lineup I really like. I think they're going to have just enough starting pitching. And I think that bullpen, I think Joe Girardi, I think he's going to be able to push the right buttons for that bullpen. But in a 60-game season, I really think the Phillies have enough, and I think they can go on a bit of a run. And you know what? I got them finishing in second place. But coming in first place, I have the defending World Series champion, Washington Nationals. Entering this past offseason, I actually was a little down on the Nationals. I wasn't really liking the fact that all their pitchers had a lot of innings all the way to Game 7 heading to the World Series. I was worried that they're going to have a bit of a World Series hangover. But you know what? They've had a ton of rest. They've had more rest out of any team coming off of a World Series. I think they're really going to benefit from that. Starting with the pitching, I mean, what a pitching staff. Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, World Series MVP, Patrick Corbin, Anibal Sanchez. Really love the starting pitching. I mean, it's going to be really good. I'm not going to even question that starting pitching at all. The bullpen, they did struggle a little bit last year, but they added a really good reliever in Will Harris. He has been phenomenal for the Astros in the last 3 seasons. The biggest piece they did lose was Anthony Rendon. I do think that was a bit of a hit for them. But they got a guy like Carter Kieboom, who their top prospect. I don't think he's going to completely fill the shoes of an Anthony Rendon right away, but I think he's going to do enough. I think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, in the minors last year, he had a 409 on base. He had a 902 OPS. He had 16 home runs. I mean, I think he's going to give something for that team. I mean, they brought in a guy like Starlin Castro, where he hit 22 home runs last year. They still got Howie Kendrick as Drupal Cabrera. Howie Kendrick had a 966 OPS last year. As Drupal Cabrera, he drove in 91 RBIs last year. And now they have a designated hitter spot where they can put those guys, they can kind of rotate them in and out of that DH spot, give them some rest from the field. Trey Turner, he stole 30 bases last year. He had a really good season. Love Victor Robles out in center field. That guy defensively is awesome. He's going to give you something with the bat. And the Nationals also added Eric Thames. He was great with the Brewers last year. No, he's not going to be Anthony Rendon, but when you add a guy like him, you add a guy like Starlin Castro, they're going to provide some offense for you. No, not Anthony Rendon, but I think those two guys, Carter Kieboom, I think those guys are going to provide enough. I think they're going to provide some good offense. You know, like I mentioned with the bullpen, they got Will Harris. They do still have Sean Doolittle, Daniel Hudson, Tanner Rainey. I do still like a lot of those pieces out in that bullpen. The Nationals, I think, this year in a 60-game season, with all the rest they've had, they're going to get first place in the National League East. Moving on to the Central, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates coming in 5th place. There's really not much here with the Pirates. I really like Brian Reynolds, Adam Frazier, Josh Bell. I think they're going to be pretty good. But really, I'm just looking out for a couple of young guys. Mitch Keller, he had a small sample size last year in the majors. He kind of struggled a little bit. But in the minors, he struck out 123 guys in 104 innings. Really looking for Mitch Keller to see if maybe he can do something. But then I'm also looking to see if Ke'Bryan Hayes, one of their top prospects, third base prospect, if he can do something. He's great with the glove. Not quite there at the bat, though. 261 average last year, 10 homers, 55 RBIs, but again, great glove. I'd like to see if maybe he can get some playing time, but overall with the Pirates, not much here. Got them finishing in 5th. And coming in 4th place, this is where the Central, just like the East, starts to get very tight. In 4th place, I have the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost a little bit this past offseason. They lost Mike Moustakas, Eric Thames, who I mentioned earlier with the Nationals. They lost Yasmani Grandal. They did add some guys. They added Aviseo Garcia, Josh Lindblom, Justin Smoke, Brett Anderson, Eric Sogard, Brock Holt. Some little pieces there. I like some of those pieces. Josh Lindblom, he was in the KBO last year. He won the MVP. I think he'll provide something pitching-wise. That offense still has Christian Yelich. You still got Ryan Braun, who's going to get some more DH time this year. He's going to be a perfect fit for the DH spot. You got Keston Hiura, who came up last year. He hit like a machine last year. I am a little worried about the starting pitching. You still got Brandon Woodruff there, 3.62 ERA last year. Adrian Hauser had a 3.72 ERA. Brett Anderson had a 3.89 ERA. Again, I mentioned Josh Lindblom. He did very well in the KBO. How is that going to translate to the major leagues? And I think the bullpen is okay. You got Josh Hader. He was solid. His numbers did go up a little bit last year from 2018. You got Knievel. He was decent. Brent Suter. He had a 0.49 ERA in 18 innings last year. But there's not too much in that bullpen overall. I just think with the Brewers, I think they got some good pieces here. I just don't think it's going to be quite enough. I have the Brewers finishing 4th place. Coming in 3rd place, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. They won the division last year. Starting with the starting pitching, it's okay. You got Jack Flaherty. He's one of the better starting pitchers in the game. He took a really good step forward last year, 2.75 ERA, 0.97 whip. You got Adam Wainwright, Dakota Hudson, Mike Mikolas. Carlos Martinez is going to be joining the rotation. I just think with Dakota Hudson and Mikolas, I'm looking to see what they can do this year. Martinez is a bit of a question mark. He's going to be joining the rotation, looking to see what he can do. Wainwright's not getting any younger, looking to see how he's going to do this year. The offense, it's okay. They lost Marcell Ozuna. He had 29 home runs last year for them. Goldschmidt, for his standards, had a bit of a down year. Tommy Edman, he's a decent all-around bat. I just worry about this offense a little bit. I think it might be a little weak. The bullpen, it's not bad. Carlos Martinez, he's not going to be in the bullpen anymore. You got Ryan Helsley. He's looking like he's going to be the closer now. He had a 2.95 ERA. His FIP was a little higher, though, 4.22. Andrew Miller had a down year last year, 4.45 ERA. He was having some injury stuff in spring training. You got John Grant. You got Hyun Kim. He came from the KBO. Overall, though, I just see a lot of question marks with this Cardinals team, but the Cardinals every year, they seem to be in contention every single year, so I got them in 3rd place. Coming in 2nd place, I have the Chicago Cubs, who I think are going to be an interesting team this year. They didn't really do much this offseason, but they hired Dave Ross, former catcher, helped them win a World Series in 2016, helped the Red Sox win a World Series back in 2013. I think he's going to be a bit of a spark for this team. I think he knows these pitchers who had some down years last year, like Lester. That offense is still really good. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, Kyle Schwarber. You got Wilson Contreras there at catcher. Not great defensively, but offensively, he's top notch. That Cubs offense is still really good. Kyle Schwarber, he's going to get more time at DH. I just really like the offense with the Cubs. The starting pitching, that's again where it starts to get a little iffy, but they still got some guys there. John Lester, he struggled a little bit last year, but John Lester, beginning of the year last year, he was very good. I'm not sure what happened with him as the year went on, but he started to struggle in the second half last year. He had an ERA mid-4s. Kyle Hendricks is fine. I don't think he's really an ace, though. I just don't think he gets enough strikeouts. Yu Darvish is fine, but he had an ERA near 4. I just I wonder about the starting pitching, but I like Dave Ross there. I mean, Dave Ross was a very good pitcher's catcher. Pitchers love throwing to him. I think he's going to be able to help out in the pitching department a lot. The bullpen, though, that's where this team is a little iffy. Last year, they ranked 20th. Craig Kimbrell was just really bad last year. He had a terrible start to the season where he had some family personal issues last year, so his season didn't even start until late June. When he came in, though, he was just awful. I'd imagine he's going to be a lot better than he was last year. But they did lose Steve Cishek. They did lose Brandon Kinsler. I'm wondering who are some other guys that are going to step up in that bullpen. Overall, though, I think I love the hiring of Dave Ross. I think he's going to be able to get something out of this team. I think he's going to be able to kind of put guys in the right positions. I think he's going to help out. I think he's definitely going to help out with Wilson Contreras, who, in my opinion, he's one of the next best catchers in the game. It's just defensively, he's not very good. And Dave Ross, I think he's going to be a big help for him. And again, I think he's just going to help out in a lot of places with this team. And coming in first place is a team that had a fantastic offseason, the Cincinnati Reds. What an offseason for the Reds. Nick Castellanos, Mike Moustakas, Shogo Akiyama, Wade Miley. They not just brought in guys, but they brought in guys to address some needs. Their offense was terrible last year, but they bring in Castellanos, they bring in Moustakas, they bring in Akiyama, they're gonna help that offense tremendously. They added a little more starting pitching depth with Wade Miley. That offense, getting back to it, it's gonna be a lot better. Eugenio Suarez, he had 49 home runs last year, a 930 OPS. You're looking at a guy like Aristides Aquino. He was setting the world on fire when he came up last year. He had 19 home runs in 56 games. How's he gonna do? Joey Votto, looking for a bounce back year. He has a career OPS of 940, but he had an OPS last year of only 768. I'm expecting Votto with more pieces in this lineup. I think he's going to have a bit more protection. I think they're going to help him out a lot. And he's been working on stuff mechanically with his swing. I think that's going to be good. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. They brought in Akiyama. He hit 303 with an 864 OPS in Japan last year. He's projected to hit 274 with a 777 OPS. So I think he's going to be productive in that lineup. Castellanos was great last year. 289, 27 home runs, 862 OPS. Moustakas was really good, 35 home runs, 845 OPS. I really just like the additions of Castellanos and Moustakas. Not sure where Akiyama is going to do exactly, but I love Castellanos and Moustakas. They're really going to help out that offense. I love the starting pitching. Sonny Gray, 2.87 ERA. Luis Castillo was nasty last year, 3.40 ERA, over 10 strikeouts per 9. Would like him to cut down the walks a little bit. But overall, that guy has great stuff. They brought in Trevor Bauer. He was rough for them when he came over. He had a 5.89 ERA in the second half last year. Definitely think a fresh start this year. You know, he's not moving around. I think he's going to get off to a good start this year with the Reds. I think he's going to be fine. Wade Miley, they brought him in. He's going to give you some innings at the back end of the rotation. DeSclafani, he was really good last year. 166 innings, 3.89 ERA. But the bullpen was very good last year, especially in the first half. They kind of fell off a little bit in the second half. In the first half last year, they ranked 6th in the major leagues, and then 16th in the second half last year. But in a 60-game season, if they got off to a good start last year, I think they're gonna get off to a good start again. They got some really good guys in that bullpen: Iglesias, Lorenzen, Garrett. They added Strop. I like that bullpen a lot. I just like this Reds team overall. Offense, starting pitching, bullpen. I think it's going to be a good Reds team. I see this Reds team just barely winning the division this year. It's going to be a very tight NL Central. And moving on to the West, coming in 5th place, I have the San Francisco Giants. There's not much here with this Giants team. They still got some guys where their names are recognizable. You got Evan Longoria. You got Pablo Sandoval. But, I mean, there's really not much here. Brandon Belt, but I don't know. Those guys are really digressing. Wondering if they can put together some decent campaigns. Maybe they can be traded at the deadline. No Buster Posey this year, but that does mean maybe Joey Bart can get some at-bats this year. I would imagine he would. I'd imagine he would get some playing time. Starting pitching is, they lost Madison Bumgarner, but Johnny Cueto is coming back. 2018, he had a 3.23 ERA. Jeff Samardzija was pretty good last year. They brought in Kevin Gausman and Drew Smyly, but I'm not sure what they're going to do for this Giants team. The bullpen, they were actually okay last year, but they lost Will Smith. And they have Mike Yastrzemski. I'm looking to see what he can do this year. He had a pretty good year last year, 272 average, 21 homers, 852 OPS. Looking to see how he progresses, but overall, I'm not seeing much with the Giants. 5th place. Coming in 4th place, I have the Colorado Rockies. Basically the story with the Rockies. Awesome offense, but no pitching. The offense is top-notch. You got Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon, David Dahl, Brendan Rodgers, top prospect. He should be playing this year after having shoulder surgery last year. I'm not worried about the offense. It's the pitching where it's very iffy. Very iffy. John Gray, he was fine last year, but he needs to throw some more innings. Herman Vasquez, he did throw 174 innings last year, but his ERA was near 5. Kyle Freeland was the opening day starter last year, but he just completely dropped off. He had a really good 2018, but then last year he had an ERA in the 6s. I don't know. I mean, that's not going to win you any games. And then the bullpen was just terrible as well. They did have Oberg. He had a 2.25 ERA. But Wade Davis, he completely just struggled last year. 8.65 ERA. I mean, there's just not much pitching-wise with the Rockies. Who knows? I mean, the Rockies, it seems like every year when people are not really giving them a chance, they seem to just kind of come out of nowhere and they just have a good season. And then when people are predicting them to do well, they just fall off the face of the earth. At the moment, here in these predictions, I have the Rockies finishing in 4th. Coming in 3rd place, I have the San Diego Padres, and this is a team on the rise. There's a lot of things to be excited about with this Padres team. Let's get started with the offense. Fernando Tatis Jr., he broke out last year, 22 homers, 53 RBIs. Defensively, he was a little shaky at -3 defensive runs saved, but overall with Tatis Jr., he's an exciting player to keep an eye on. Manny Machado, he's going into the 2nd year of his deal. He played fine last year, 32 home runs, 85 RBIs. I mean, he had a wins above replacement of only 3.1, and for him, I feel like that's kind of low for him. I'd like him to kind of step it up a little bit. He only had a 463 slugging last year. I'd like Machado to kind of take a step forward this year. They also traded for Tommy Pham. Really love Tommy Pham. He is like a glue kind of a player. He's a player where he's a leader in that clubhouse. He had 21 home runs last year, 68 RBIs, 369 on base. I think Tommy Pham is going to be a great addition for that lineup. Eric Hosmer, though, I mean, he's going to hit you some home runs. He's going to drive in some runs, but the WRC plus of 91, that's below average. He only had a 310 on base last year. Eric Hosmer is going to need to do more to get on base. I mean, they do have some other guys like Franmil Reyes, Will Myers, but I mean, those guys, they're going to have to step it up. Starting pitching. I like the starting pitching. Chris Paddock right there at the top. Joey Lucchesi, Eric Lauer, Cal Quantrill. I mean, he wasn't great last year, but he did get some innings. 5.16 ERA. It was his first year. Looking to see if he can take a step forward this year. Chris Paddock was great. Joey Lucchesi, he was fine. Eric Lauer, 4.49 ERA. Looking to see what Garrett Richards can do. He's saying he's healthy, 60, but he's only made more than 16 starts once since 2015. So overall, I'd like to see what he'd like to do. Bullpen, you got the best closer in baseball, Kirby Yates. They got other guys like Chris Stammen, 3.29 ERA in 82 innings last year. Luis Perdomo, 4.19 ERA in 86 innings last year. But I think other guys are going to have to step up in that bullpen. Overall, with the Padres, there's some exciting pieces here. I just don't think it's quite enough yet. I don't think they're quite there. So 3rd place in the West. Moving into 2nd place is a team I am really high on this year, and that is the Arizona Diamondbacks. I love the Arizona Diamondbacks this year. They had an awesome offseason. They brought in Madison Bumgarner for the top of that rotation, Starling Marte, Cole Calhoun. They brought in Junior Guerra and Hector Rondon for the bullpen. Let's talk about the offense. Ketel Marte was awesome last year. Had a 7 wins above replacement last year. He was very good overall. Eduardo Escobar, he drove in more than 100 runs last year, had 35 home runs. Nick Ahmed, he was solid, 19 home runs, 82 RBIs. Christian Walker, one of the best defensive first basemen in the league, 29 homers. Starling Marte, they brought him in. Not great defensively out in center field. I'm wondering if maybe they're going to use him a little more in the DH spot, but he had 23 homers, 82 RBIs, 845 OPS last year. Really liking the way the offense is looking. Starting pitching, really liking the starting pitching. Madison Bumgarner, I don't think he's going to be the Madison Bumgarner of old, but he's still going to be very solid. He had a 3.9 ERA in 2019. And then behind him, you got Robbie Ray, Luke Weaver, solid 2 and 3 guys right there. No Mike Leake this year, though. He did opt out, but you got a guy like Zach Gallen. This guy is really good. Rookie season last year, 2.89 ERA, almost 11 strikeouts per 9. Does need to lower the walks a little bit, almost 4 walks per 9, but Zach Gallen is a guy to keep your eye on in the next few years. He's going to be very good. I think he's going to provide a lot for this Diamondbacks team pitching wise. I think the bullpen's solid. You got a guy like Archie Bradley. You got Chafin, Ginkel, Yohan Lopez. They added Junior Guerra. I think they're going to be solid setup-wise and in middle relief. I just like this team just all the way around. And you bring in a guy like Madison Bumgarner, he's bringing a lot of intangibles. He's got that World Series experience. He knows how to win. I think that's what this team really needs. So overall, I have the Diamondbacks finishing in second place. And in first place, was there any question? The LA Dodgers. What an offseason for the Dodgers. They brought in Mookie Betts. That was the story of the offseason. They also brought in Brusdar Graterol. They traded Kenta Maeda for him. They signed Blake Treinen. They signed Alex Wood. Definitely some good acquisitions there. That offense was already really good. And then you're adding Mookie Betts to it. Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Corey Seager, Peterson, Pollock. You got Gavin Lux now, top prospect in the game. I mean, my goodness, that lineup is just incredible. Starting pitching, very good. I'm a little concerned, though, with the starting pitching now that David Price opted out. David Price was going to be that third pitcher in that rotation, and not having him now, that does concern me a little bit. I mean, you still got Walker Buehler, who's going to get better every single year. You still have Clayton Kershaw. In my opinion, I still think he's one of the better pitchers in the game. But considering that Hyun-Jin Ryu is no longer there, and now David Price isn't there, they also don't have Kenta Maeda. Rich Hill's gone now. I am a little worried, especially playoff time. I think it's going to be fine for the 60-game season. I still think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to get enough pitching this season. Alex Wood, if he can go back to 2017, 2018 Alex Wood, I think that's going to be very helpful. But then they got some younger guys too. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, maybe Josiah Gray can contribute a little bit. They got Caleb Ferguson, who was fine last year. They definitely got some young guys that have the potential to step up in a big way. And then the bullpen. Bullpen's very good. Kenley Jansen is a guy to keep an eye out for, though. He's gotten a little worse each year, but then you got someone like Brusdar Graterol that can come in. I think Brusdar Graterol, the guy throws a 100-mile-an-hour sinker. Like, are you kidding me? That's insane. Look out for if Kenley Jansen, especially in a short season where the leash is going to be, I think, pretty short. I could see a guy like Graterol being that closer. But then the rest of that bullpen, Pedro Baez, Joe Kelly, Ross Stripling behind them is just really solid. Blake Treinen, back in 2018, Blake Treinen had an ERA under 1. He was absolutely nasty for the Athletics back in 2018. He had a really down year last year, though, very ineffective. But if he can get back to more of that 2018 Blake Treinen, that bullpen has the potential to be really good. Overall, I have the Dodgers finishing in first place. So let's go over the standings. In the East, the Nationals 35-25, Phillies 34-26, Braves 33-27, Mets 32-28, Marlins 24-36. In the Central, I have the Reds finishing 33-27, the Cubs 32-28, the Cardinals 31-29, the Brewers 31-29, and the Pirates 23-37. In the West, the Dodgers 40-20, the Diamondbacks 35-25, the Padres 32-28, the Rockies 27-33, and the Giants 26-34. My two wild card teams. You're going to have the Diamondbacks and the Phillies in the wild card game. So those are my predictions for the National League. Tell me your thoughts down below. I want to hear everything you think. I want to know if you think these predictions are awesome. I want to know if you think they stink. Tell me everything you think down below. But that's all I got for this video. Again, if you haven't seen the American League, go check that, or the American League predictions, sorry, go check that out. But that's all I got for this video, and I'll talk to you next time.